many partners, and in fact one of our central partners in making Media Democracy Days possible. Catherine Evans is the chair of the board of the Vancouver Public Library. She's in the midst of a revisioning meeting of the library upstairs, so she's not going to be able to stay with us for long, but she wanted to come down and welcome everybody to Media Democracy Day, so it's my pleasure to introduce Catherine Evans.
Thank you, Stuart. It was a very strong message that Teresa Neal gave. That was very welcome. Thank you all for being here at today's event. It's no longer a keynote event in the same way, but it's a plenary event. Since 2002, the Vancouver Public Library has hosted Media Democracy Days. It's providing a place for citizens, activists, media, I don't want to leave anybody out, which is why I'm going to look, innovators, policymakers, students, and academics to come together to engage in a very dynamic dialogue, a very important dialogue on creating a participatory democratic media system, one that also works in the public interest. In case some of you are not already frequent visitors to the Central Library, I would like to highlight a couple of upcoming events that you may be interested in. On November the 20th, there will be a discussion of anarchism in the 21st century. Authors Robert Graham, Dimitri Risopoulos, and David Turako will be discussing their newest books, the history of libertarian ideas, and the relevance of anarchy today. Interesting. Looking ahead to December the 17th, could you join us for Surviving Progress? It's a documentary film based on Ronald Wright's best-selling A Short History of Progress. And it's part of our documentary film series called What's Up, Doc? If you're interested in these programs or any others, get one of these little brochures on that table over there, or visit the Vancouver online calendar on vpl.ca. Once again, we are very delighted to be hosting Media Democracy Days here at the Vancouver Public Library. And please join me in recalling Stephen Points. Stuart, did it again. There's a Stephen that's playing a big role in the workshop that I'm involved with today. And I think that's going. He's a futurist and communications person as well. So again, Dr. Stuart Points, back to the podium. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. That's very kind. Let me just say, get us underway. I want to say a little bit about Media Democracy Days and the background and what allows us to do this work. I also want to alert you to the shift in our program. As Catherine mentioned, what was planned for this morning's event to kick off Media Democracy Days was our second keynote with Ricardo Dominguez from San Diego, from the University of California in San Diego. He's a remarkable scholar and activist, and we're certainly going to spend some time talking about him this morning. Unfortunately, however, he sent word on Thursday morning that a family emergency, a really, quite frankly, terrible situation has befallen he and his family, and so he's not able to be with us here today, and he senses deep regrets, because I think as you'll learn more about him, if you don't know about his background already, this is the place that he would like to be. These are the people he wants to talk with and be with and share his work with. So it's an unfortunate situation. Nonetheless, we have juggled things and reworked the situation and hope to offer you a fantastic opening, and then the rest of the day will carry on as planned with a series of fantastic panels, the media fair upstairs, etc., etc. So that will be something to alert you to as a small shift in our, not small, but a shift in our program. That said, Media Democracy Days, as we begin today, is now in its 12th year, and it's a real testament that Vancouver is one of the cities in North America, in fact, around the world, where Media Democracy Days continues to be a vibrant and rich and exciting event that brings together people and communities, activists, scholars, as Catherine mentioned, from around the region, and in many cases further afield than that. And it's one of the things we're really proud of, to kind of build this media democracy movement from here, and using this weekend as a jumping off point for it. As an argument for media democratization, we believe this project couldn't be more important than for today. And the reason for this is because news and media are, as we all know, they're significant to our cultural and political lives. They thread our lives together in many ways. And yet at the same time, the concentration of media, the narrowing of media voices, the limited number of groups and stories that are brought to the mainstream public's attention is a deep problem and challenge that we face today. It's central to our democratic futures that the media becomes something that welcomes many voices, that welcomes the voices and the perspectives and experiences of those people who are ignored, who are disappeared from our view. And our project is to open up the spectrum of experiences and voices and ideas that feed a rich and meaningful world that makes our lives the kind of world we want to be part of. Media democracy does this in 3 ways. Our project is to know the media, to know what the media is and how it operates today, to know what kind of stories are being told and what kind of stories aren't being told. Our project is to be the media, to allow people to enhance opportunities and possibilities for citizens to participate and to become part of the storying of our lives and our worlds. And thirdly, to change the media. Because while being the media matters and opening up the spectrum of voices, it also matters that the institutions that are part of the mainstream media, the corporate bodies that are part of a vastly concentrated and powerful media system, that they are transformed, that they're changed. And part of the argument we're going to make this morning is about how that change can in fact unfold. So one of the things we're going to bring to you this morning is a video from the UK. Many of you will know that in London and the UK right now, they've been undergoing a significant inquiry into the phone hacking scandals. That's been part of the way News International and News Corp has deeply molded and tainted the media system in the UK. And the I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the name, which is really dumb. The Levinson. I want to say Livingston, but it's the Levinson. The Levinson Inquiry. It's Levinson Inquiry. At any rate, the Levinson Inquiry has been revealing this story and pulling it out. And today, one of the things we're going to have the pleasure of seeing is a video with one of the key activists from UK who wanted to welcome all of us as part of this international movement of media democratization. That we will get to in a moment. Before we do, though, in order to make a day like this possible, there are some really key thank yous that need to be made, because you can't have an operation like this and a series of events like this without a lot of people putting in an awful lot of background time. So just, if you can bear with me to thank those people who make it possible. To begin with, I want to acknowledge some of our partners and sponsors. Vancity Credit Union, who many of you will know from last evening. If you were there last evening, Vancity Credit Union has stepped up this year with a major sponsorship for us and really enabled us to expand our programming, develop a speaker series called Counterculture that runs throughout the year. We are very, very happy to have them on board as one of our partners. We are eager to partner with organizations that share some of our values and concerns, and that's not easy. Because many of the financial centers of power are not the organizations we're interested in partnering with. Vancity, on the other hand, is one of those organizations, and we're deeply happy to have them with us. As well, I want to thank openmedia.ca, who, along with the Vancouver Public Library, you've already heard from, are crucial in making Media Democracy Days possible. As well, my own home, the School of Communication at SFU, the Faculty of Communication, Art and Technology have been tremendous supporters, not only with the people who are part of this, but in providing funding to help support this. So we thank the School of Communication for their contributions. In addition, the BCGEU and the Institute for the Humanities at SFU have stepped up and been great partners for us, the UBC Graduate School of Journalism as well. There are many other sponsors, and I'd ask you, just at some point today, take a look at the back of our program. It gives you an idea of the range of partners who have helped us to make these events possible. The people. Some of the people who you'll see running around doing work to keep things rolling along today. First off, I want to acknowledge my pal and our chair of the Media Democracy Day program, Dr. Kathy Cross from the School of Communication. She is an energetic and dedicated activist who has put immense energy into bringing people together to keep Media Democracy Days rolling. She deserves a great deal of credit. In addition, Josh Tabish, our coordinator, our assistant coordinator, Kavia Joseph, 2 undergraduate students in the School of Communication whose labor and dedication have been tireless over the past months. I also want to acknowledge Bob Hackett, who you'll meet shortly, and at least by video. Bob Hackett, one of the founding members of Media Democracy. He's also a colleague in the School of Communication and has been a real help and force behind this movement. Tyler Morgenstern, who I'm going to have more to say about in a moment, is part of the steering committee, and we're tremendously happy to have him involved over the last few years. Members of the MDD Organizing Committee, Imran Munir, Rob Prey, Lindsay Pinto, Alexander Tsi, Courtney McLaughlin, Lena Zaretta, Sophie Dempsey, many others who I have not explained, but we're really, really happy to have these people that make this event possible. Okay, so that's the thank yous. Now to the program, which I want to say, as I mentioned, we have a somewhat of a shift and a change. And to begin with what we wanted to do, over the next half hour, we want to do 2 things. One is that we've had a video was made by Dr. Bob Hackett and Des Friedman. And as I mentioned, Des Friedman has been very much involved in the media reform movement in the UK. And in the UK, that movement has a tremendous importance and force right now because of the Levinson inquiry, because of the phone hacking scandal, which has really concentrated public attention on the deep deficit in democracy that's part of our media culture today, and of the fundamental need not only to reform media, but to reform the funding of media, to reform how money is channeled into journalism, to enable young journalists to develop their careers and become the kind of investigative voices that we need in a rich and vibrant democracy. Des Friedman has been part of that work of trying to place limits on media ownership in the UK. And in many ways, this is a model. This is an example of a struggle that resonates for us here in Canada, particularly given the recent decisions and struggle over the merger of Bell Media and Astral Media. There's an effort in many places around the world to contest the ongoing cycle of media concentration, which hampers and narrows the kind of culture that we live in. So, to open up, what we wanted to start with is a welcome and a 10-minute interview with Bob Hackett and Des Friedman talking about how media democracy struggles around the world resonate here, and in particular how the media reform movement in the UK is developing strategies that might be useful to organizations and practices that are unfolding here. So, without further ado, let me open this up. And to be